as the training camp clouds gather and the preseason winds begin to swirl. We're here to bring you the hottest takes before the storm hits. In this episode, each of us, me, Grindberg, Schultze, we're each stepping into the eye of the fantasy football hurricane with bold predictions that could shake up your draft and lineup decisions. From scorching breakout candidates to chilly bust warnings, we're forecasting the player performances and team dynamics that will create gusts of change across fantasy leagues this year. Allez, monsieur! Welcome to the Fantasy Forecast with Grindberg and bigz. I am bigz. He is Grindberg. And Schultze is also in the building. You guys think of this show as your early radar sweep. The lightning strikes and thunder caps that'll spark fantasy flames or leave owners drenched in regret. Get ready to read the signs in the preseason skies because these hot takes are about to roll in strong, and ignoring them could mean getting caught in the fantasy storm without an umbrella. Quick disclaimer here. Hot takes are not actionable information. They are provided to make you think. We're not predicting what's going to happen. We're just thinking about stuff, and we're sharing it with you. What are you doing, guys?
Not much, man. Ready to get into these hot takes. It's pretty hot outside right now in most of the country in North America. bigz, how hot is it where you are right now?
Currently in Davis, California, it is... No, that's not right. It says 73 degrees. Refresh. 98.
Oh, that's a steamer. That is hot. What about you, Schultze? Where are you at?
It was about 90 here today. I don't know what it is right now, but we're cooling off a little bit. You know, it rained this afternoon, so we got a little bit of coolness coming, but still pretty hot today.
100. There we go. We hit the 100 degrees. There we go. And that's hot. And what else is hot is these hot takes. Now, big.
Did you guys hear that the guy that invented the heat index passed? He was 86 years old, but he felt like 88.
Oof, man, that's brutal right there.
So I'm going to go ahead and come up with my first hot take.
Hot, spicy.
Ashton Jeanty, Raiders running back. You knew I couldn't go a whole show without talking about a Raider. Come on. Ashton Jeanty will finish the 2025 fantasy season as the RB3 or better. I know there's some hefty competition in the top 5-6 running backs. Jahmyr Gibbs is there. Bijan Robinson, of course. He's pretty much a consensus 101. But I just think that there's going to be a hefty ton of volume going Ashton Jeanty's way, and I think he's going to do a lot with it. Last year, he had a 40% rate of missed tackles forced on his runs. He rushed for over 2,000 yards, and he had the highest rate of loaded boxes in all of college football. So what happens when he gets out there and he's got a deep threat quarterback in Geno Smith and a spread open offense in front of him? The defense isn't going to be able to focus on the line of scrimmage. They're going to have to be spread out. And Jeanty's going to have plenty of room to run. And then by the time he gets to the defense, whichever level, first level, second level, he's going to force missed tackles, and he's going to pick up those extra yards. And his efficiency is going to be off the charts because we've seen him do that in college. And in 2023, he was a hell of a receiving back. So I'm super high on Ashton Jeanty this year, and this might not even be a hot take that he finishes in the top 3. It might be the or better part because I don't think a lot of people have him beating out Jahmyr Gibbs or Bijan Robinson. But let's remember about Gibbs last year. His production was off the charts when David Montgomery got hurt. But with Montgomery in the lineup with him, he was RB5. So if Jeanty completes a full 17-game slate, I'm not scared that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to finish ahead of him, especially if David Montgomery is healthy the whole year.
I mean, I can't argue with anything you just said. When you draft a guy, especially a running back that high, especially in, this time in the NFL, like this dude is like he's deserving of it. Like gone are the days of people wasting top 10 picks on running backs and them not being like absolute studs. Jeanty is that guy. I have zero doubts about it. He should just get stupid workload with no one else back there to give the ball to, and why won't he be top 3?
Right, and Pete Carroll has had Marshawn Lynch, Kenneth Walker. He's had guys that were do-it-all running backs, and Chip Kelly last year at Ohio State won a national championship with Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson. Well, Ashton Jeanty does what both of those guys do. So he doesn't really need to lean on Raheem Mostert at all, or Zamir White or whoever else is in that backfield with him. It's going to be the Ashton Jeanty show, and so he's going to get the volume. Now the only question is how much the Raiders are going to pass, because they are going to have an improved passing game. But if they can control the game with the running game, they're going to run a lot, and they're only really going to need to like throw the ball in, for big plays. And it's going to be a fun year to watch Jeanty. Who's your guy, Schultze?
Well, I love how you say he's going to be top 3 or better, which only means he's going to be 2 or 3, because the guy I'm going to tell you is he's going to be RB1 this year, and not an RB1, the RB1. It's hot take season. I'm talking Achane. Now, we saw this dude burst on as a rookie with just absolutely explosive plays, taking plays of the house, like big-time touchdowns. Followed it back last year, and some of those giant plays weren't there. Some of the efficiency dropped a little bit, but when you're doubling up your carries, like that's kind of to be expected. This guy still didn't even rush for 1,000 yards, finishes as the RB5. He scored 12 total touchdowns, and I don't see any reason why that number is going to go down. I think it's going to go up. He saw 87 targets last year, second in the league. He led the league among running backs. Well, sorry, second in the league among running backs. He led running backs in yards receiving and in receptions themselves. They love to get this guy the ball quickly. And in my opinion, we saw a transformation in the Dolphins offense where instead of when they need chunk yards and they need a bailout, they're not looking to Tyreek quickly anymore. They're going to Achane. Like, how often do you see the Dolphins get behind the sticks? And in years past, a couple of years ago, they would just throw a screen to Tyreek and just, shoot. It's 2nd and 17. It's 3rd and 21. We're just going to give him the ball and let him make something happen, make up some ground here. Achane's the guy now. And you're taking Jonnu Smith out of the equation. That is over 100 vacated targets for this offense. And you can miss me with any Darren Waller talk. He's going to get, I don't know, some targets, but it's not going to be anything like we saw Jonnu getting. I think some of that work's getting funneled to Achane, and I'm predicting he's going to catch over 100 balls this year.
Whoa.
You heard it, man. He was already number 2 in the league among running backs in target share, and I think it's going to go up without Jonnu Smith. The efficiency is just insane for this dude. The speed kills, man. The speed kills everybody with Achane. And I'm just expecting him to come out and light it up this season. And I think he can be running back 1 overall.
Yeah, we talked on other shows about the Tyreek Hill situation, and we talked on the Dynasty Pulse last week about my turnaround on Tyreek Hill. And I do think that Tyreek Hill is going to have a big bounce back here, but I don't think that that's going to have any effect on Achane. The real issue is the trading away of Jonnu Smith, and Darren Waller is not going to come in and replace Jonnu Smith's production. That's going to have to get scattered to Tyreek and Jalen Waddle and Achane. So, yeah, love your hot takes. They're hot.
All right. Well, I was way there. I'm going to get into one of my hot takes then, and talking about training camp here. We're talking about some battles. I'm talking about a quarterback battle that's just been heating up as of late, because you know what? One of them is in a crucial spot where he's not even practicing right now at OTAs. And I'm talking about the battle in Indianapolis between Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson, I think it's critical for the team's success here. And, Richardson, he has impressive athleticism. His inconsistent passing, though, and turnover issues has limited his development. And now Daniel Jones comes in here, and despite some setbacks, I think he offers a steadier hand for the Colts, and they need to revive their offense and provide more reliable production for us fantasy managers. And Jones's experience in, Brian Dable's run-heavy system back in the day, I think is going to, fit perfectly with what the Colts are doing here offensively as well. Meanwhile, Richardson, he struggles with accuracy and lack of precision in the short to intermediate passing game. I think that he's going to be having a hard time getting in the lineup right out of the gate with this injury. So my bold prediction is I think that Daniel Jones wins that starting job right out of the gate here and has a pretty decent season for the Colts down the stretch. Under the radar, he's been really, decent as a passer. We've seen him in the days in New York, and I just think that this year is the year that Daniel Jones comes back. He's got a decent supporting cast, a run-heavy offense, and this is my bold prediction, or my hot take, I'd say, is Daniel Jones is winning it, and he's going to have that job throughout the whole season in 2025.
Yeah, we saw what Daniel Jones can do. We know what the cheat code is for running for quarterbacks that run, and but you guys. Come on. This is we're in pedestrian territory. Ashton Jeanty being a top 3 running back, DeVonta Achane being RB1. Granted, you have the 100 reception thing, or 100 targets, whatever. That's pretty crazy. And then Daniel Jones is going to start for the Colts. Let's ramp this up. Let's heat it up. We got to get scorching hot. Let's get hotter takes, you guys.
Well, we started being boring. We started a fire. Now we got the embers started a little bit. They're not at the heat that we need them. And if you stay tuned to the show here, you're going to get the hottest takes around. And I saw this show sheet, and the number 1 takes are pretty spicy. Biggs, what do you got as your next one?
I got a scorcher, you guys. This is like late August, early September in my hometown when it gets to like 115, 117 degrees. There's a wide receiver out there in Seattle named Jackson Smith-Njigba. He's the brother of a professional baseball player. And my hot take, my scorching take, is that JSN is going to finish this year higher than Justin Jefferson.
Boom.
What? All right. I do have some data to back that idea up. So when I dig into the states, Jackson Smith-Njigba was 12th in targets last year, 137. And Justin Jefferson was at 153. He had a 29.9% target share compared to Jackson Smith-Njigba's 24%. Well, that's on the field with DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf was taking targets away from Jackson Smith-Njigba. The Seattle Seahawks are very comfortable with Jackson Smith-Njigba as their wide receiver 1. Otherwise, they wouldn't have traded DK Metcalf away. Incoming is a new quarterback to Seattle, and that's Sam Darnold. Guess where Sam Darnold was last year? Sam Darnold was in Minnesota, and he was throwing balls to Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson now has J.J. McCarthy to deal with. Well, guess what? I'm very high on J.J. McCarthy, but there are a couple things. Number 1, he's a rookie quarterback, essentially. He does have a year in the league, but that year was not spent on the playing field. It was spent rehabbing injury. They are going to give the keys to J.J. McCarthy, and he's going to be fine. But he's more of a running quarterback than Sam Darnold is. So there are some plays that are going to be taken away from Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison is also still in the building. T.J. Hawkinson is going to have a full season of health this year. And Ty Felton is a draft pick that I'm really high on. I think he can unseat Jordan Addison, make him expendable. And in a couple of years, Jordan Addison won't be on the Vikings anymore. On top of that, you got Aaron Jones, and they brought in Jordan Mason. So they're going to have a healthy running attack. They're going to not have to rely so much at that 30% rate on Justin Jefferson. And I think his volume is going to go down a little bit. Meanwhile, back over in the Pacific Northwest, I think Jackson Smith-Njigba's share is going to increase. They have made improvements to their offensive line. Sam Darnold's going to have a little bit better protection. They got Kenneth Walker as the hammer, but they don't really have a huge tight end. Maybe A.J. Barner makes some noise. Maybe Elijah Arroyo emerges as a high lighted rookie. Noah Fant's not going to take anything away from Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Cooper Kupp probably isn't either. So I see an increase in production from Jackson Smith-Njigba this year, and I'm saying right now he's going to finish higher as a wide receiver in fantasy than Justin Jefferson.
Bold. That is hot. That is a hot take, bigz. You started a fire. I think it's Inferno right now. There's people in the background in Minneapolis shouting at their top of their lungs. They're like, what the? But you know what? I mean, I could see it happening. He explained it well. And yeah, that is pretty hot.
Again, caveat. I'm not predicting that's going to happen. I'm just saying, think about it. Give it a whirl with some of your, analysis.
There you go. Okay, Schulte, let's give us some more of your analysis here, bud.
This one might not be quite as spicy, but I've got a 31-year-old running back here, and you know what? He's going to be top 3, right? It's Derrick Henry. We've had the age conversation a little bit throughout the years, and like I mentioned with George Kittle last week, I will believe that argument when I see it. Derrick Henry has only gotten better, man. This dude is fine wine. He showed zero signs of slowing down last year. And in fact, he had the second best season of his career. Actually, no, the best fantasy points wise. And that's because he moved to Baltimore. He landed himself in with a good team, a really good offense. And that offense isn't going anywhere. We still got Lamar scaring the crap out of people and just freeing up space for this dude, which he's never had in Tennessee. He had 325 carries last year. I hear you. He's 31 years old. I don't care. He just signed a 2-year deal for $30 million at this age, making him the only running back of age of 30 or older to make $15 million a year in league history. The Ravens aren't concerned. I'm not concerned. You shouldn't be concerned. He had 1,921 yards last year, 18 touchdowns. Looking at efficiency stuff, he's 3rd in yards per touch, 6th in evaded tackles at 72 for a freaking freight train. He's still among the top in evaded tackles force. 1st in breakaway runs, 5th in yards created. This matchup or this pairing with the Baltimore offense is just a match made in heaven for Derrick Henry. I mentioned the Lamar stuff, how defenses are scared of Lamar, and it just frees up Derrick Henry and vice versa. I mean, it works both ways. And that's evident in him being 1st in breakaway runs. He scored 18 touchdowns last year, like I mentioned. It could still be 20 plus this year. I just don't see any slowing down for Derrick Henry. He's on an offense that's going to be in a ton of positive game scripts. He is the perfect running back with a lead, wearing down a defense. And when it comes 3rd, 4th quarter, and you're just beating the crap out of guys with Derrick Henry, he's going to pop them. And there's nothing else to say, man. Derrick Henry isn't going anywhere. He's not slowing down. He's still going to run you over. He's still going to make you miss. And it's entirely plausible he hits 2,000 this year.
I agree with that. I think I like this call, Schulte. I'm a big fan of Derrick Henry this year. I mean, he showed it. He got the contract, and now you're looking at a guy that is just in a prolific offense with a lot of scoring opportunity. And yeah, like you said, he has the opportunity to go in 2,000 yards. The only thing that would maybe deter him from doing that is getting injured, and he's got a long career of staying healthy. So
I would say one season that's actually legitimately been impacted by injury in his career.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they've slowed him down, but not to the point where it's hindered his performance in fantasy. This is a huge situation here, and yeah, go ahead, smash that Derrick Henry. I think you're getting some good value here. I see him going in the middle of round 2 in a lot of these drafts, and maybe he'll steam up to the round 1, depending on how things go in this offseason and the health of these running backs coming in. So, yeah, bigz, anything to add with that?
Yeah, I had a tweet about this a couple weeks ago. In 1985, Walter Payton finished the season with 282 fantasy points, which would have placed him as RB7 in 2024 points. He was 32 years old. In 1985, he had 1,551 yards rushing, 9 touchdowns, received for 49 catches for 483 yards. and his point total that year would have finished as RB7 last year at 32 years old. Derrick Henry is not as old as Walter Payton. He's been more prolific. He's been better later in his career than Walter Payton was, and also the environment is better. Nutrition is better. Conditioning is better. Athletic science is better. Walter Payton came from a time where guys were like, getting drunk before the game and smoking cigars and cigarettes and
cigs.
So, and Derrick Henry takes care of himself. We know that from tracking Braylon Allen and him working out with Derrick Henry while we were going through the pre-draft process in 2023. So, I love the take. And I see nothing but blue skies for Derrick Henry this year.
And the crazy part is a dude who's going to catch 20 balls the whole year.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Could rush 2,000 yards and 22 touchdowns and be the RB1. Who knows? But
no, because Achane's going to be the RB1. Remember?
That's true. I already said that. RB2.
We can't hot take each other out of hot takes.
Well, before we get into my hot take, before we get into the Southern Bluegrass Fantasy Football Championship plug here, let's get into my hot take, and we'll get into Emeka Egbuka. I just think he's going to win a key role right out of training camp with the Bucs, and I think he's going to be starting right out of the gate, and I think he's going to probably finish 2025 as a top 24 wide receiver. People have been, down on him because of the landing spot, and as I look more into it, I think the Bucs drafted with purpose here. They invested big draft capital in Emeka Egbuka. They see two veteran wide receivers that are, on their age cliff here. Mike Evans might not be, there. We saw his regression at the end of last year. We saw it, them force feeding them ball. We saw Chris Godwin's health. We don't even know if he's going to be starting the season right away out of the gate, which signs are pointing that way, but you never know with how these guys recover from these injuries. So Emeka Egbuka, he enters with strong credentials, even stronger work ethic that has already earned him rave reviews from teammates and coaches alike, though he spent his college career mostly as a number 2 receiver at Ohio State behind elite talents like Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jeremiah Smith. Egbuka consistently demonstrated advanced route running, high catch rates, and the ability to create separation with his yards per route run. His physical profile, it fits well with NFL teams, and I just think he's a great mid to first round draft pick that the Bucs invested in him. So it shows a lot there. Baker Mayfield has got glowing endorsements during OTA, says he's got such a layer of credibility here. He could play all over the field. So, it may not just be the slot he may slide into, but if an injury were to happen to maybe Mike Evans, he could line up outside as well. So 3 college seasons with strong target shares, separation scores that were just, elite. His yards per route run improved when lined up outside. And, he had a good situation last year where when he was lining up outside, 16 out of 21 passes, 200 yards when he lined up there. So he's got that versatility, a good relative athletic score. I just think all signs are pointing for an opportunity, and I think that opportunity is going to come right out of the gate. So that's my hot take. I think Egbuka is going to start the season as a number 1 wide receiver and finish as a top 24 wide receiver in 2024.
That's bold. I'm thinking back on a few years ago when you and I were on a different platform, and I wrote some head-to-head articles, and the first one was about Rome Odunze versus Jalen McMillan, and I was saying to let people grab Rome Odunze, and then you grab somebody else of high value, and then take Jalen McMillan. I also wrote the same article pretty much about Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Egbuka, thinking that after the end of that year, they both were going to come out. Egbuka wound up staying. The irony there is that both of those guys that I said to take at value were Jalen McMillan and Emeka Egbuka, both of whom are now on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We know that Baker Mayfield is going to chuck it. There are concerns with the rest of the wide receiver room. It reminds me a lot of McMillan coming out last year, where we were very high on him, saying, you can't downplay the talent, but the opportunity may not come until the second half of the season. That's exactly how it played out. The difference is I don't think that's going to happen with Egbuka. I think he's going to be on the field now. I think he's going to get his opportunity much earlier than McMillan did. He's got the draft capital over McMillan. There will be a time in Tampa Bay where their Godwin and Evans are going to be McMillan and Egbuka, but it's going to take a couple years. But I think that Egbuka, I think he hits a little sooner than McMillan did last year.
He's so polished, man, for being an upcoming rookie. And some people are going to say that's a bad thing. Like they'll say he's at his ceiling already, and I just don't think that's the case, man. Why can't you look this impressive and be this polished and still have room to grow? I don't like those aren't mutually exclusive.
And
it's two different games.
Yeah. And they're also comparing them to the situations like JSN was in and Rome Odunze in their rookie seasons. But I think they're completely different. JSN came in injured. You know what I mean? He got injured in training camp, which really deterred his rookie season. So, and then Rome Odunze, he was paired up with a rookie quarterback in a new system. There was bound to be some growing pains there. And I just think that Egbuka is coming in as a more polished wide receiver, spending that extra year at Ohio State with talent around him. And now he's coming into a system that has been, gone through some influx over the last couple of years. They've had some turnover in OCs, 2 years in a row here. And I still think that their foundation is there and they can, do well with Baker Mayfield. So I love Egbuka here. And maybe top 24 is bold, but I don't see it out of the realm of opportunity here if he starts right out of the gate. And it's bold at this time, but if he gets that spot at a training camp, there is some opportunity here in that offense. So I love Egbuka. Biggs, let's get into the Southern Bluegrass Fantasy Football Championship. I'm going to play the video and maybe you can enhance it a little bit afterwards. So here we go.
Looking to take your fantasy football experience to the next level? The Southern Bluegrass Fantasy Football Championship, or SBFFC, is the premier live in-person single-entry tournament east of Las Vegas and is happening in Bowling Green, Kentucky, just north of Nashville and south of Louisville. Join fantasy football diehards for a 2-day draft weekend filled with energy, competition, and community. Expect free beer, bourbon, barbecue, and live entertainment hosted by the Western Kentucky University Dance Team. You'll draft on massive FJFantasy.com boards, enjoy giveaways, and even have a chance to win signed memorabilia and bourbon bottles through raffles and a silent auction. The SBFFC is securely managed through LeagueSafe.com, with all prize money held and paid out at the end of the season and championship round. Winners walk away with stunning Trophy Smack trophies and belts, and of course, lifelong bragging rights. To learn more, check out the official promo video on YouTube and click to visit SBFFC.com for full details. For questions or to reserve your spot, email Dr. Brian Harwood directly at brian.harwood@twc.com.
And there you have it. I don't have much to add from the video. So let's get into our next scorching hot takes. But before we do, make sure that you go to fantasysportsadvice.com, get your pro membership, all that stuff, buy some merch. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful fantasy forecast hats, sweatshirts, things like that. All right, my scorching hot take number one. I cheated a little bit because it's a claim that I've made on this show before, and that is that all four of the Jets' primary fantasy players, Mason Taylor at tight end, Garrett Wilson at wide receiver, Breece Hall at running back, and Justin Fields at quarterback, they will all finish in the top 10 in fantasy in 2025. The only thing that makes that scorchingly hot is that I have Mason Taylor included there, but I think that he has the runway and the opportunity to do it. Not a lot of, scorching hotness from Breece Hall doing it. Justin Fields having a bounce back, that's not, so far out of the realm of possibility. A lot of people are down on Garrett Wilson simply because Justin Fields is there. But don't forget, DJ Moore was a top 10 wide receiver the last time Justin Fields was a top 10 quarterback, and that was in Chicago. So I think all of them
did it with Zach Wilson.
Right. And I think that they can all work together. I don't think that I think the Jets are going to probably be behind in a lot of games, and that's going to mean heavy fantasy output for their players. And so that's my scorching hot take. 4 Jets all finishing in the top 10.
I love that call. And Biggs, it's tough because you think about this saying, oh, you were downplaying how scorching hot that was. We're talking about the New York Jets here being 4 top 10 fantasy relevant players, okay, for one, but also a team that has struggled over the years. I think that's a really scorching hot take. It's going to be a very consolidated offense, like you mentioned here, like between Breece Hall, Wilson, and Mason Taylor. I'm really high on Mason Taylor as well this year, and obviously Fields, when he's on the field, we know of him as a top 10 quarterback. So yeah, this is not super hot as far as like outside of the realm of possibilities here, but it is a hot take because, you know, we're talking about the New York Jets.
You know what I should have done to make it even more scorching? I should have replaced Mason Taylor with Stone Smart.
That would have been smart.
I mean, Mason Taylor makes this the hot take here, right? I mean, and then the fact that you're saying all 4 of them, because like the chips all have to fall into place for every single guy. But Mason Taylor's makes this one real spicy. But there's a real world he's the second leading target getter, and I don't like that's not a hot take. So yeah, man, it can happen.
All right. Let's get into some more hot takes here because that was spicy. Let's keep it going, Schultz. Who's going? Me or
Spoiler alert, it's you.
I see. Okay, well, are you guys ready for some spice? Because I'm bringing it today, and I'm bringing some heat because I'm talking about a lesser-known guy, and I'm talking about Brashard Smith, a 7th round pick. And I'm going to tell you right now, I think he's going to make the Chiefs 53-man roster, carve out a role as RB2 behind Pacheco, ahead of Hunt, ahead of Elijah Mitchell, and will finish 2025 as a top 36 running back. I know that is bold. Remember, folks, I'm not telling you to put all your eggs in this basket, but this is a guy that I'd be putting flyers on in the later rounds just to have on my roster in case something like a Jerick McKinnon situation were to arise. And he reminds me a lot about that Jerick McKinnon. You know, Pacheco and Kareem Hunt currently headline the Chiefs backfield, but his unique skill set, his converted wide receiver turned running back sets him apart as a versatile threat. His ability to run routes from the slot or out wide, combined with his speed, his elusiveness, and given coach, his head coach Andy Reid, he loves a good running back in the passing game. We've seen what he did with Jared McKinnon and even Kareem Hunt back in his glory days when he was the number 1 there in Kansas City. Although he'll likely begin the season as a 3rd option if he does make the roster, which I'm telling you he's going to do. I think he's going to be working his way up. An injury here will give him an opportunity, and that 4.39 blazing speed is going to be hard for him to get out of the lineup once he's in. So I'm putting some chips here on the Brashard Smith train. I love where he landed. I was high on him before the draft, but the situation now, I know it's 7th round, but this was a really, really deep draft, and the Chiefs are a smart drafting team, and they saw value there like we are in fantasy, and I think Brashard Smith's going to give us value like he will to the Kansas City Chiefs in 2025, folks.
You mispronounced Lam Larison.
That could be your hot take too. Let's give him some bonus there later on there, bigz.
Love Brashard, love Brashard, love Brashard. That's all I got.
Yeah, Chev put us on him pretty early in the draft process, early, and that Jerick McKinnon comp is pretty sticky. It's stuck to him like his jersey number.
And hopefully he sticks to the 53-man roster and can get an opportunity. And given an opportunity, we know what guys can do in the Chiefs offense. And I think they're going to be in some closer games this year where they're going to need their offense to step up a bit more. They lost some defensive pieces. So I just think that the Chiefs offense in general is going to be a little bit better than it has been in the last 2 years. So Schultze, let's get into your rocker, my man.
All right. I've got a quarterback here that many people are pegging for a huge bounce back, or not even a bounce back, a breakthrough. He's not been so great first 2 seasons in the league, and we're talking about Bryce Young, man. A lot of steam and a lot of hype in the Bryce Young camp, people talking about the development in the Dave Canales offense. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not buying it. I think he's going to be a mediocre fantasy quarterback as a ceiling. He was QB20 last season with a little bit of missed time, which is mediocre. And I see some of the arguments. You look at this final 6 games of the year. He had some really nice performances here. And that's like a lot of the basis for this argument is say, hey, look how he finished the year, man. Like he was really coming around, and I think that's going to carry over into 2025. And we're talking fantasy here. You're going to look at this final 6-game stretch. Bryce had 5 rushing touchdowns in that stretch. That is a complete outlier and an unsustainable number, in my opinion. When you look at I forgot how many games he played before that stretch because he missed a few. Regardless, it was like 24 or something. 1 rushing touchdown before the final 6-game stretch of 24. So the fact that he scored 5 coming down the stretch here to me that's just not going to happen. That's not who he is. And that did a ton of heavy lifting into his fantasy numbers this season. In that same final 6-game stretch, he had performances of 56% completion percentage, 55%, 53%. The guy's a career 60% passer, which is good if it's 2004. Like, he was 35th in yards per attempt last year, 34th in clean pocket completion percentage, 41st in catchable pass rate. He has 1 career 300-yard game and 2 career 3 passing touchdown games. This guy's just not a very good quarterback. I just don't see it. I don't see the big step everyone's predicting. And to me, it is entirely based on projection and not production. Now, you might be thinking, if you're a viewer of this show, a couple weeks ago, you were talking Ted McMillan being a top 10, 15
Tetaroa, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I still stand by that because I think this offense is going to completely flow through him. You look at the Giants last year, Malik Neighbors. I mean, I don't think Tetaroa is going to be Malik Neighbors by any means, but those quarterbacks stunk last year. Like, you can have a bad quarterback and still lift one wide receiver to the fantasy promised land. So yeah, man, I'm out on this Bryce Young breakthrough. I'm not drafting him as a QB2 like a lot of people are. I'm not drafting him at all.
Biggs, what do you got to say? I could see with your Tet, I mean, he justified why Tet is going to be great.
Tetaroa.
Tetaroa. Why he'll be great, but there must be some other options here in that offense. Maybe you're looking at maybe a step forward for Bryce Young, or
a healthy Jatavian Sanders is 1. Chuba Hubbard with a solid running game as a foundation is 2. Then you have Jalen Coker, who emerged as a competent wide receiver. Adam Thielen is still there, and they brought in Hunter Renfrow, who, if he's any shadow of his former self, he could be really, really valuable for the Panthers. I don't disagree with Schulte at all. I don't. My Bryce Young involvement has consisted of a complete roller coaster. I was fully out on him as the quarterback 1 in the class. I was fully in on him as a bounce back candidate last year until he lost his job. And now I'm back out on him because the statistics tell you all you need to know. If you're not finishing at 65% completion rate, you're in the 50s in multiple games, and you're being propped up by rushing touchdowns that aren't normally going to come. Yeah, there's not a lot of room for. Here's the case why this guy is gonna hit, and I'm with Schulte.
There you go. Yeah, I mean it's a really intriguing situation, and like Schulte said, you're betting on projection, not production. So especially at that vital quarterback position where you're looking at guys that are going to be, being able to play in 1 quarterback leagues, he's probably not even going to be on your roster. But if you're playing in a super flex league, you're splitting hairs at that stage. And I'm going to be more inclined to draft a guy like Geno Smith, in a better situation, better coach, not better coaching, but a better situation and more.
Yeah, better coaching.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Canales has been pretty.
Has he won a Super Bowl?
No, fair enough.
Did the offensive coordinator win a national championship last year or ever? No.
There you go. So they have better coaching, better weapons. I just have a hard time saying that about the Las Vegas Raiders as a Chiefs fan. But you know what? I'm gonna eat some humble pie here. The Raiders are on they're on the up and up, and they're gonna turn some heads here in 2025, and they are another team that could potentially have a slew of top 10 guys in their performers in fantasy. So yeah.
They're not going to improve much with their record, but they are going to play much better. There was a story that came out a couple months ago, maybe a month ago, that was talking about it was analyzing the rest days versus your opponent. And the Raiders they didn't get hit with the worst schedule like they normally do. They got hit with the least amount of rest between games compared to the opponents that they're playing. There's like 1 week where they have more rest than their opponent. Every other week is completely lopsided towards them. And we saw what happened with the 49ers last year. Yeah. They were Super Bowl bound, and they had the worst up until last year. Like up until this year, the 49ers last year had the historically worst rest days versus their opponents. This year, the Lions and Raiders are both worse than that. So I'm not looking for an 8-win team out of the Raiders this year, but I do think they're going to play well. Maybe more close games, but it's going to take a better schedule to get them into the playoffs.
And with those schedules, it's hard for a team if they suffer an injury or two here early on. It's hard for them to recover from that because they're not getting the rest they need. Just like the 49ers, it just ended up stockpiling. Everybody. So they weren't getting the rest they needed. So yeah, it just happened. So maybe you're going to see that with the Raiders, but the guys that are going to be in the lineup and healthy, they're going to be performing in fantasy for us now. Performing in fantasy. Now, if you're interested in doing this Southern Bluegrass Fantasy Football Championship, it's a great tournament. I think our viewers are ready for this big stage tournament, bigz, and Schultze. We've been tailoring them for almost 2 years now, and this is a big boy, big girl event, and I think our viewers are ready for it. What else do you guys have to say about it? That's it. Let's get in it. And
heard about it today.
There it is. Okay, well, get in on it. We're gonna.
I love bluegrass music.
And we love the Southern Bluegrass, and hopefully we'll see everybody out there. And remember to like and to subscribe to our videos. It's going to be dropping in a day or two, and we're excited to see everybody hit back. bigz, take us home like you always do.
Hell of a show, boys. Hell of a show. We hope you win.
Hope you win.